Spanish bank Santander has given investment bankers what they've been waiting for all year, a nice big initial public offering of stock that doesn't go wrong. Raul, you've been looking at this. Santander has launched its Mexico unit on the stock exchange. It's raised, what, $4 billion or so. Only Facebook has raised more money this year, and we saw what happened there. Santander Mexico's up a couple of percent this morning, but, let's look at the good news first. Who's done well out of this?
Well, certainly we hope that it turns out to be much better than Facebook. But
Yep.
what we're seeing is the latest in Santander's strategy of essentially listing some of its units in key markets.
So it's done Brazil, it's done Chile is the other one?
It's done Chile. Argentina's on hold because of the political situation there. But Mexico is essentially the big headline story at this point in time in Latin America. It's a growing economy, much better than even Brazil. And, the banking sector it's booming at this point. I mean,
it's good news for Santander. They've managed to raise a decent whack of money. They, it's part of their strategy for the last couple of years of listing units over in Latin America and South America, but also, given what's been happening in Spain, they needed a bit of a capital boost.
They needed a little bit of a boost, and certainly, $4 billion is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's certainly a good chunk of change. So,
and actually, if we look at the deal, the thing is, there's only one other large publicly listed bank, isn't there, in Mexico? Banorte.
That's right.
And that's doing okay. We had a quick look at the numbers this morning, and what we've got returns around 15% return on equity for Banorte, 20% or so for Santander Mexico. So
22 or so.
22
yes.
actually. So even better. Which I mean, these are numbers that American banks would they'd love to see.
Right.
So what do we think of the valuation? I mean,
well, at 2 times 2.28 around their book, it's actually something many banks in the U.S. would just
most of them are right below book value. But
and it's somewhat cheaper than Banorte. I mean, as far as PE is concerned, it's around less than 12 for
price earnings,
for Santander, and then you have
Banorte,
which is around almost 17.
Right. So in that sense, actually, on the price earnings at least, it's priced relatively okay. I think at the moment bankers are saying that you've got to bring your initial public offerings at, say, 15-20% below what the comparables are. But on book value, it's a little bit more tricky there. But I mean, okay, so fine. Maybe either way, it looks like it's a decent or even a full valuation. Santander does well. Should investors be worried that, okay, the economy is growing, but there are a few other things going on?
Well,
you've got defaults rising, haven't you?
Risk elements to it. I mean, first of all, the Mexican economy depends largely on what happens in the U.S. And the U.S. isn't doing that hot at this particular point in time. So that is a risk, certainly. And, we are seeing some signs of trouble in the Mexican economy, but nothing to essentially set alarm bells at this point in time.
Santander has said, well, look, we've got rising delinquencies in some consumer credit.
Particularly in consumer credit, which is essentially where they intend to push forth in the future. Credit cards and consumer loans, that is essentially sort of their new frontier, because you have a very large middle class that's coming up in Mexico.
But with very little experience of borrowing.
But that doesn't have that much experience with leverage.
And you've got a 12-15% increase in total assets, even larger just in total loans at Santander Mexico. So it's growing quickly.
They're growing at 22%.
Profits are up.
Right.
And then the other thing you wanted to mention was the competition. There's only one other listed bank, but there's a lot of other banks who are pushing for market share.
And you will see a very sort of aggressive fight for this particular, for this segment of the population, which is, middle income to lower. So who's to say that return on equity will stay at the levels where Santander has it at this point in time? That's going to be key.
Okay, well, thanks, Raul. We'll keep an eye on that. Very happy to see that Santander Mexico has not yet dropped in the aftermarket, but we'll see how that continues over the next few days, and come back to us tomorrow for more breaking views.